Hello, good evening, my ghouls and goblins. Welcome to Insomniac. I am your host, Miss Red. Welcome to the second season. Yay! Yay! Thank you so much for making this a possibility, you guys. I love to bring this stuff to you guys, all these weird and creepy and strange facts. And in light of that, we're doing kind of a miscellaneous show, a wrap-up of season 1. Pretty much all the little facts that I wasn't able to collaborate and put into the former episodes, I'm going to be sharing with you guys now, because there's a lot. I mean, I pretty much covered the drop in the bucket, and even the ones that I have for you guys now are just the tail end of the things that I wasn't able to fit in for you guys. So we're going to start out with the the one on dangerous drugs, okay? Not always what you think, okay? And the one drug that I didn't get it into there was actually, ironically, supplements, dietary supplements. So they're everywhere. And here's the thing with dietary supplements. The FDA, in most cases, do not regulate dietary supplements, okay? Because they are considered a food product, not a medical product. So they regulate it as a food product, not a medical product. So what does this mean? That means as far as their medical value, no matter what they're claiming to do with weight loss, metabolism, sleep, give you better vitamins and minerals and all this sort of thing. They can claim those things all day, and it is not specifically against the law in the United States of America for them to do so, per se, as long as they claim to have certain foodstuffs in them that would be attributed to be able to do those things. Now, you have to be very, very careful with supplements because, first of all, a lot of supplements contain metals, okay? And we do need a certain amount of metallic minerals in our blood. We need iron. We need magnesium. We need these things. But an overabundance of these things, and they're too heavy, our body can't get rid of them at a fast enough rate, and we can actually be poisoned by them, okay? So if you're taking a supplement that's really high in these things, it can kill you. It can poison you, and it can kill you. And in fact, there was a gentleman, and I think I did mention this on one of the videos, that there was a gentleman that he was doing a beta-carotene supplement program where he was taking the vitamin K supplements as well as juicing with carrots and things like that that were really high in beta-carotene, and he ended up dying. He turned orange, like his eyes turned yellow, his skin turned orange, and I mean orange, and then he died because he suffered from kidney and liver failure from overdosing from beta-carotene. So yeah, a good thing can be a bad thing in the wrong doses, even with supplements. So be very, very careful as far as supplementation. I would highly, highly suggest before you start taking any sort of vitamin supplements that you seek out a nutritionalist and you seek out a doctor to make sure that they are the ones that are right for you. Possibly request blood tests. That way you know you are taking the right things that are right for your specific body type and your specific metabolism. Because if not, it can have really bad long-term effects and possibly even kill you. Okay? So that's number 1. Okay, number 2 we're going to do. That's off of the episode of Could You Be a Serial Killer? Okay. One fact you guys have to understand. You walk by a killer, a person who has killed another human being, okay, at least 250 times throughout your lifetime, and you never know it, okay? Now, understand that this may mean that perhaps they were a soldier in war and they killed this individual because that was part of their job in the military. Understand this may mean that they were a police officer and they had to shoot an assailant. As far as serial killers go, you will walk past at least 3 of them in your lifetime, because there are, at any given point in time, as was said in the video, I believe, in the United States alone, at any given point in time, there are approximately 250 active serial killers that are known by the FBI. So, you know, these people are everywhere. The psychosis is everywhere. I know that there is a lot of speculation around things, especially with what's going on in the country right now, because of the things that happen in Texas, as far as certain weapons are involved, this, that, and the other. We have to get better at educating ourselves as a society as to what is the root of the problem. All of these things, serial killers, mass murderers, people who commit gun shootings, they all have something in common. And what they have in common is that it is a social disease that is created by somebody harming them in some sort of emotional or psychological way at some point in time in their lives. PTSD, something. And we need to get really, really good in society if we're going to continue to have these large population numbers and grow and evolve as a species. We need to start getting to the root of the psychological problem, because it's becoming a severe problem that is going to deplete us as a species. It's going to be our downfall. This sense of selfishness that's happening is going to be the root of our downfall. And we see it all day, every day. I've talked about it in lots of different things, in lots of different videos pertaining to a lot of different subjects. We need to take care of this problem. It needs to happen now. Number 3, Charlie Charlie and all these other little novelty games. So what Charlie Charlie is kids they'll draw a cross on a piece of paper. They'll put yes, no in the corners. Okay. And they ask the supposed spirit called Charlie Charlie questions that are yes or no questions. And there's a decent amount of these different games that are being introduced on TikTok and Reddit and all of these different places. Here's the problem with these particular games and devices. Ironically, just like the game that supposedly spurred the start of the witch trials that the girls were playing in the basement of the parish's house, they're talking to entities that are out of their control, okay? And they are not using the proper protocol because they're not being instructed on the proper protocol in which to use this type of communication, okay? And this can cause a lot of different effects to them spiritually, to them psychologically. It can create a whole lot of problems. Whether you believe in it or not, there are other things beyond the sixth sense, the six senses, sensories, that do affect us. And when we abuse that privilege and don't properly take care of that privilege, it does affect us. And so, yeah, we need to be kind of monitoring what our children are doing, not just with sex and drugs and all that sort of stuff, but also in their play and these little games. Because, as I mentioned, one of these little games actually was the start of the Salem witch trials. You know, where like 30 to 40 people lost their lives. So yeah, we need to be aware of this, that these games exist, and we need to be aware of the repercussions of these things. Okay? Okay. The next episode that we're going to cover is the could you genetically be a super monster? So yeah, we covered things like the actual medical genetics of vampires and lycanthropes, which are, you know, werewolves, were creatures, this, that, and the other. So yeah, there's a lot of people that have genetic traits that could be considered cryptids and stuff. There are also a lot of people out there that have traits that are considered superhuman and superpowers. There's a lot of people that have super strength, super hearing, super sight, super intelligence, all that sort of thing. There are people that have auxiliary organs. Auxiliary organs are actually a really common thing, and that's one of the things that I put on the list. For example, I have an auxiliary organ. I actually have a auxiliary, not gallbladder, the other side, pancreas. Okay, an auxiliary organ is a second one of them. Okay, when you're only supposed to have one. I have a second pancreas. Okay. A lot of people do have secondary organs when they're only supposed to have one, or they have three when they're only supposed to have two. Okay. It has to do with chimerism, genetic chimerism, which we talked a little bit about that in the Mother's Day episode, and how that sort of thing can occur. All that wonderful jazz. Most of the time, it's not a problem. Actually, it could be a benefit to people, because then your body has that secondary organ to utilize if something goes wrong. And it can actually make you, to a certain degree, a superhuman. For example, there are certain things that I can metabolize much quicker and much faster than the average human being. It also causes the downside of things like my body builds an immunity and builds resistance to a lot of prescription medications and things quicker than other people, because I have a secondary pancreas to help take care of it. So, but just, yeah, it's a very fascinating science. So if you get the opportunity to sit down and really research that, most of us technically have superpowers, whether it's super strength, super hearing, super sight, extra organs, something like that. And that's the sort of the cool thing of evolution. We have reproduced and evolved so many times that now, yeah, we're becoming almost like Marvel comic superheroes. And that's just, I don't know, it's super cool. It's wild. And yeah, yay, go science and evolution. So yeah, wanted to include that. Yay. All right, the next one, to Are You a Shaman? So yes, went over a lot of the attributes of things as far as religion and, of course, spirituality and practices and this, that, and the other. One of the things with a shaman is that you really, really feel connected to the earth, okay? And maybe you're good at something, you know? Maybe you communicate well with animals. Maybe you communicate well, you know, you have a green thumb. You're good at gardening. That's another thing, another attribute that you can see that you're a shaman. Maybe you can communicate with people without actually communicating with them. You know what I mean? You don't have to talk to them. You don't have to actually verbally say things to them. You just, and they kind of know. And this is the type of thing, you know, shamans are very geared towards the earth and very geared towards nature. So, you know, if you know, you feel totally at home just sitting in a stream or a lake or sitting with the birds in your backyard, and that's where you feel more at home than anywhere else, maybe you're a shaman. All right, the next one we're going to is actually the down the rabbit hole conspiracy theories. So there are so many conspiracy theories, so many, and they build up more and more and more. Right now, the conspiracy theory that's really taking a hold of us is what is going on with our gas prices. Yeah, so let's explore that one. That's actually a new one that I just added a few weeks ago. It does tie into one that I had that I didn't share with you guys, but I kind of updated it and altered it. So it has to do with macroeconomics and how it works. Okay. So there are certain families, and it has to do with the whole Illuminati conspiracy and all that crap that we interviewed in that particular episode. There are certain families that do control majority of the wealth in the world. Okay? It's just a thing. It's a thing. Okay? Because of this particular fact, they're old dogs that don't like learning new tricks. Now, we do have some new characters that have come to the stage of macroeconomics, such as Elon Musk, and they are trying to change the face of economics, but it is a slow process. And because of that, big oil is still a big thing. Majority of these families, such as like the Carmichaels, the Rothschilds, so on and so forth, they have made their money through petroleum products. The other thing about this is that there's a lot of things that people don't realize that we use, such as like plastic and certain types of gaskets that are essential to what we do all day, every day, that are produced with petroleum products. So if petroleum products just all of a sudden up and disappeared, how we live our lives now, we'd be completely and totally screwed. So there needs to be some sort of transition. And while, yes, the altercations that are going on in the Middle East and the not so Middle Eastern region, the Eastern European region, I guess, would be in the Western Asia region, is also stemming that along. understand conspiracies of the reptilian overlords trying to transpire to harvest us and stuff. It's not so much that. It's not so much the hippies are trying to get us to convert to all energy and blah 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 blah. No, it's because what is going on with our world and what we need to do to continue to be a healthy society is a very complex problem. Okay, it's got many facets, pertain to many people, and many different people have their own interests in their own way. And right now, unfortunately, a decent amount of the people that are in power are old dogs that can't learn new tricks. And so that's where the struggle is going on. But we will figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll figure that compromise out eventually here. And we will move forward, hopefully before things get too bad. Okay? So just hang in there. Try not to freak out. I know it's tough. Hang in there. We're going to figure it out. And finally, okay, and another one to go along with the conspiracy theory one is the Hellfire Club. So I do believe we did talk a little bit about the Hellfire Club in the one episode. I can't recall which one it is entirely off the top of my head. So the Hellfire Club is actually, it's a club that has been disbanded, but as far as we know, but some people theorize that the Club of Bones, okay, I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, Bones, but the American Club of Bones, which is a club pretty much of presidential administration elite, that's where it derived from the Hellfire Club. Okay, and I know we talked about the Hellfire Club a little bit, and so it was pretty much a club that was started in Europe in a specific church. They commandeered this church, okay, this abandoned church, and it was where all the elite could just do the most depraved shit, and supposedly the devil himself actually held attendance there at their meetings on a regular basis to do sex, drugs, debauchery, all sorts of crazy stuff, and make horrendous deals so that these very, very strong and powerful men of capability could be successful in their endeavors. And supposedly the Club of Bones in America, after the Hellfire Club was disbanded, is an extension of that. I don't know how much of that is true. Some of the things that I've heard in speculation that the Club of Bones has accomplished, perhaps it's true, and anybody who's seen the movie, maybe it's true. I don't know. Here's the thing about all these secret societies and clubs. They were all formed. Most of them were actually formed with very good intentions, that something was going on with the governments at that particular point in time that wasn't really good or conducive for the people, that the government was overstepping their bounds in some way, shape, or form, or the church was overstepping their bounds in some way, shape, or form. But as you know, as I do believe it was Socrates that says, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So they get to a certain amount of excess and they start doing crazy, stupid shit. Majority of these clubs that exist today are not bad clubs. In fact, clubs, for example, like the Freemasons are actually very good clubs. They help teach gentlemen good values of family and work ethic and lots of things like that. So, and give them a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging. It's, you know, and the same thing with the sanctions of the Illuminati that are still in place. Yes, there's probably facets and splinters of it that are in excess and are doing stupid shit, but a decent amount of the Illuminati still holds true to the fact that our government system should be held by the people and not the church, and that is their whole purpose, is to make sure that the government, the people always stay in power, not the government itself and not the church. So just keep that in mind when you guys are doing your research and shit. There's a lot of speculatory things. History is written by the victors. It's also written by the haters. So, all right. But anyways, that's your facts for this evening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will tune in with you guys next week. Like I said, next week is Pride Week. Yay! So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful night or day, depending on where you're at. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.